I checked the candles one last time and smiled to myself. Perfect, I whispered. The table looked exactly the way Chloe liked it. Red roses, her favorite pasta, chocolate cake waiting in the kitchen. 5 years together deserved something special. I pulled the small velvet ring box from my pocket and opened it. I hope you say yes, I said quietly. A knock came at the door. My heart raced. She's here. I slipped the ring back into my pocket and hurried over. The moment I opened the door, my smile disappeared. Chloe stood there. Ryan stood beside her. Their hands were locked together. For a second, I thought I was imagining it. Ryan, I asked, what are you doing here? Neither of them answered immediately. Chloe slowly looked into my eyes. Ethan, we need to talk. My stomach tightened. I stepped aside. Come. They walked inside together. Ryan couldn't even look at me. I forced a nervous laugh. Okay, what's going on? Chloe took a deep breath. I'm leaving. The words hit me so hard that I forgot how to breathe. What? I'm leaving you. Still here. No. She nodded. Yes. I looked at Ryan. He finally raised his head. I'm sorry. I shook my head. No, you're my best friend. I know. You've been like a brother to me. I know. Then explain why you're standing here holding my girlfriend's hand. Ryan swallowed. It wasn't planned. Chloe stepped closer. Ethan, please don't make this harder. Harder? I laughed bitterly. You walk into our anniversary dinner holding his hand, and you're worried about making it harder? She looked away. I didn't want to hurt you. Really, I never meant for this to happen. I pointed at the dining table. I cooked your favorite meal. Her eyes briefly landed on the candles. I can see that. I bought a cake. She stayed silent. My hand touched the ring inside my pocket. I couldn't finish the sentence. Ryan finally spoke. We fell in. Chloe finally broke the silence. I'm sorry, Ethan, but I want more from life. I frowned. More than what we planned together? She crossed her arms. More than this apartment. More than struggling every month. Ryan has dreams that match mine. I looked around my home. This place was never the dream. It was only the beginning. Ryan sighed. You deserve someone who believes in your future too. I laughed without humor. My future? Chloe nodded. You always talk about patience. I don't want patience anymore. I want success now. You think I have no future because I don't show everything? She shrugged. I can only judge what I see. Ryan placed a hand on her shoulder. We're moving into a beautiful new house next month. I'm happy for you, I said quietly. He smiled as if he had won. You'll understand one day. No, it'll be I understand today. Neither of them noticed how calm my voice had become. Chloe looked at the dinner one last time. You should find someone better for you. I shook my head. I already thought I had. Her eyes filled with guilt for only a second before she looked away again. Ryan reached for the door. We should go. Before leaving, Chloe turned back. I truly hope you can forgive us. I didn't answer. There was nothing left to say. The door closed behind them. Their footsteps faded down the hallway. Then I heard a car engine start. Silence filled the apartment. I stood there for several long moments before slowly walking back to the table. The candles were still burning. The food was still warm. The empty chair across from me hurt more than anything else. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the velvet ring box. My hands trembled as I opened it. The diamond reflected the candlelight, shining with a future that would never happen. A tear landed on the ring. Then another. I sat alone in complete silence. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was simply broken. The woman I loved had walked away. Why? 3 days passed before I answered another phone call. Most people wanted to know why Chloe had suddenly disappeared from my life. I ignored every message. The only person I finally agreed to meet was Grace. She walked into my apartment carrying 2 cups of coffee. You look terrible, she said gently. I've had better weeks. She placed 1 cup in front of me. I heard. I gave a tired smile. I guess news travels fast. When your girlfriend leaves you for a best friend, people talk. They certainly do. Grace sat across from me. So, what are you going to do? I honestly don't know. Are you thinking about telling Chloe who you really are? I slowly shook my head. No. Why not? Because if she comes back after learning the truth, she'll be coming back for my money, not for me. Grace nodded. Good answer. I looked out the window. It still hurts. I know. I trusted both of them. You trusted the wrong people. Before I could answer, my phone started ringing. Ryan. Grace looked at the screen. Are you going to answer? I hesitated. Maybe it's time. I pressed the button. Hello. Ethan. Ryan sounded unusually cheerful. What do you want? I wanted to invite you somewhere. I'm not interested. Come on. No. At least hear me out. I stayed silent. We're having a housewarming party this Saturday. My fingers tightened around the phone. A housewarming party? Yeah. He laughed proudly. You should see the place. It's incredible. I'm sure it is. It has 5 bedrooms, a huge garden, an infinity pool, and the most amazing city view. You sounded like a child showing off a new toy. I'm happy for you. You don't sound happy. I said I'm happy for you. You should come. Why? Because we're still friends. I almost laughed. You really believe that? Ethan. No, Ryan. He became quiet. I know things are awkward. Awkward. I didn't mean it like that. What word? Grace stared at me for several seconds. Say that again. I think I own their house. She blinked. Ethan, are you serious? I recognized the address the moment Ryan said it. She immediately opened her laptop. Let's not guess. She logged into the company's secure property database while I stood behind her chair. Tell me the address. I repeated it slowly. Her fingers moved across the keyboard. A few moments later, dozens of property records appeared. She opened one file after another. Then she stopped. There it is. My heart started beating faster. Grace opened the ownership file. A quiet smile appeared on her face. You were right. I looked at the screen. Whitmore Horizon Holdings. The anonymous company. My company. The luxury mansion was listed among my investment properties. Ryan's purchase agreement appeared beside it. He doesn't actually own it yet, Grace said. What do you mean? He's buying it through a long-term financing contract. She opened another document. The legal title stays with your holding company until every payment is completed. I crossed my arms. So the house is still legally mine. Exactly. Grace looked at me carefully. This changes everything. I slowly shook my head. No, it gives you power. It gives me responsibility. She closed the laptop. I was wondering what kind of man you'd become after what they did. And she smiled softly. I'm relieved. I don't want revenge. I know. I just want justice. There is a difference. I nodded. There always has been. Grace stood and gathered the documents. So, are you going to the party? I looked toward the engagement ring, still resting on the table. Yes. She looked surprised. Really? I need to see them. Why? Because I want to know whether they're truly happy. And if they are, I'll still survive. And if they're not, that's their burden, not mine. Grace smiled proudly. Harold always sighed. Saturday arrived faster than I expected. I stood outside the mansion for several seconds before walking toward the front door. The house looked exactly as I remembered. I had approved every renovation plan months ago. The stone entrance, the glass walls, the landscape garden. Every detail had once been another business decision. Now it was the stage for the most uncomfortable evening of my life. I pressed the doorbell. Ryan opened the door with a wide smile. Ethan, you actually came. I said I'd think about it, and you made the right choice. He stepped aside. Come in. The moment I entered, music and laughter filled my ears. Guests stood around holding champagne glasses while admiring the expensive furniture. Ryan proudly spread his arms. So, what do you think? It's beautiful. I knew you'd say that. He laughed proudly. Best decision I've ever made. I quietly looked around. I can imagine. Chloe walked down the staircase wearing an elegant emerald green evening gown. For one brief second, our eyes met. Then she smiled politely. Ethan. I'm glad you came. I wasn't sure I should. She looked slightly uncomfortable. It means a lot. Ryan wrapped an arm around her waist. We wanted everyone important to be here. I forced a small smile. I'm honored. A group of guests walked over. One woman looked at Chloe. Aren't you going to introduce him? Chloe hesitated. Then she smiled. This is Ethan. She paused for only a second. My ex-boyfriend. The room suddenly became much quieter. Several people gave me awkward smiles. One man nodded politely. It's nice to meet you. You too. Ryan laughed. Ethan and I go way back. I looked at him. We certainly do. Another guest asked. Any hard feelings? Ryan answered before I could. We've all moved on. I kept my eyes on him. Have we? He pretended not to hear the question. Instead, he picked up another glass of champagne. Come on. Ryan led everyone toward the backyard. Look at this view, he said proudly. Worth every dollar. One guest whistled. This place is incredible. It really is, I replied. Ryan grinned. I knew you'd appreciate quality. I smiled politely. I appreciate good decisions. He laughed, missing the meaning. As everyone admired the infinity pool, a man walked over to me. I'm David, he said. What do you know, Ryan? We grew up together. Old friends. I thought so. He looked confused but didn't ask another question. Chloe joined us. Are you enjoying yourself? I'm learning a lot. About what? People. She lowered her eyes. I know you're still angry. I am disappointed. There's a difference. She looked away without answering. Ryan clapped his hands. Everyone, dinner is ready. The guests gathered around the long outdoor table. Ryan raised his glass. I want to thank all of you for celebrating our new beginning. Cheers filled the garden. Then he looked at me. Ethan, say something. Every face turned toward me. I slowly stood. It's a beautiful home. Ryan smiled proudly. It is. I nodded. I hope you take good care of it. We will. I looked directly into his eyes. And don't ever miss a payment. The smile on his face faded for a brief second. What? You heard me. He forced a laugh. That's an odd thing to say. I just think it's important. A few guests exchanged confused looks. Ryan shrugged. I've got everything under control. I hope you do. He raised his glass again. To success. Everyone cheered except me. A few minutes later, I quietly walked toward the front door. Daniel, Ryan's older brother, stopped me. Ethan. I turned. I am sorry. For what? You didn't deserve any of this. His words were honest. Thank you. I tried to stop him. I believe you. He sighed. I barely recognize my own brother anymore. Neither do I. He offered his hand. I hope life gets better. Monday morning, Grace walked into my office carrying a thick stack of folders. Ready? She asked. I looked up from my desk. As ready as I'll ever be. She placed the files in front of me. These all relate to Ryan's purchase. I opened the first folder. So many papers. Buying luxury isn't simple. I flipped through the contracts. There it is. Grace nodded. What did you find? The payment schedule. She leaned beside me. Read the highlighted section. I read it aloud. Ownership remains with Whitmore Horizon Holdings until the buyer completes every scheduled payment in full. I looked at her. So nothing has changed. Exactly. The house is still legally mine. She smiled. Now you understand. I closed the file. I don't feel victorious. You weren't supposed to. I just feel surprised. Grace sat across from me. That's because you never wanted this kind of power. I wanted a peaceful life. You still have one. I laughed quietly. Not after everything that happened. She folded her hands. Ethan, answer one question. I am listening. If Chloe suddenly discovered you were wealthy and asked to come back, what would you say? I didn't hesitate. I'd say no. Why? Because I don't want someone who loves my money more than me. Grace nodded proudly. Good. I've already lost enough. You also learned something valuable. What's that? The right people stay before success. Her words stayed with me. A knock interrupted us. Come in, I called. Harold Whitmore walked inside, wearing his usual charcoal suit. Ethan. Harold. He smiled warmly. Grace. Good morning. He noticed the files on my desk. I see you've started reviewing the property. We have. He sat beside us. I heard about Chloe. So everyone knows. I'm afraid so. I sighed. It doesn't matter anymore. Harold looked directly at me. It matters because pain changes people. I don't want it to change me. After Harold left, Grace gathered the files. I'll send copies to your secure account. Thank you. She paused at the door. And Ethan, yes. Don't carry this burden alone. I won't. When she left, I stayed in my office staring at the city below. My phone buzzed. It was Noah. Hey, he said. How are you holding up? Better than last week. That's not saying much. I smiled. Probably not. He hesitated. I heard Ryan's business isn't doing well. I've heard the same. You know what people are saying? What? They think he spent almost everything on that house. I leaned back in my chair. That wouldn't surprise me. You aren't happy about it, are you? No, really. I don't need his life to fall apart to fix mine. Noah was quiet for a moment. I'm proud of you. I don't always feel strong. You don't have to. After we ended the call, another message appeared. It was from an unknown number. Final reminder. Monthly payment due Friday. Late fees will apply after the deadline. I frowned. The message had been sent to my company's owner account by mistake instead of Ryan's contact file. A minute later, Grace called. Did you receive it? I did. Our system copied the owner account automatically. So Ryan is already receiving reminders. Yes. And if he misses the payment, the contract moves to the next legal stage. I stayed silent. Ethan, I'm here. He's already 2 business projects behind schedule. So he's struggling. Worse than he admits. I looked out the window again. So the perfect life isn't so perfect. Apparently not. Later that evening, I drove past the mansion. The lights were on. Through the enormous glass windows, I saw Ryan and Chloe arguing. He threw a folder onto the kitchen counter. She crossed her arms and shouted something I couldn't hear. A moment later, she walked away. Ryan remained standing alone with both hands covering his face. I could have smiled. My phone rang just after 9 the next morning. It was Grace. Ethan, are you free? I am now. What's happened? Ryan requested an emergency meeting with the property management company. I sat up straight. So it's finally happening. Yes. He missed the payment. He missed more than one. I took a slow breath. When's the meeting? 11. I'll be there. Good. She paused. Are you ready for them to learn the truth? I looked out my office window. I don't think anyone is ever ready for a moment like this. 2 hours later, I walked into the company's headquarters. Grace met me in the lobby. They're already upstairs. How do they look? Nervous. And Chloe? Confused. We stepped into the elevator. Grace looked at me. You still have time to let someone else handle this. I shook my head. No. Why? Because I've hidden from this long enough. The elevator doors opened. We walked toward the executive conference room. Before I reached the door, I heard Ryan's voice. There has to be some mistake. Another voice answered calmly. The documents are very clear, sir. Ryan sounded frustrated. I've already invested too much money. I slowly opened the door. The room became completely silent. Ryan looked at me first. His eyes widened. Ethan, Chloe turned around. What are you doing here? I walked inside without speaking. Grace closed the door behind us. Ryan frowned. This meeting is private. It is, I replied calmly. So why are you here? Grace placed a leather folder on the conference table. Mr. Carter has every right to attend. Ryan laughed nervously. What does that mean? Chloe looked between us. Grace, what's going on? Grace remained professional. Please have a seat. Nobody moved. Ryan stared directly at me. Ethan, answer me. I calmly pulled out the chair at the head of the table and sat down. His confidence disappeared instantly. You. I folded my hands on TH. Grace opened the leather folder and placed several documents on the table. Mr. Brooks, these are your financing records. Ryan quickly picked them up. I've seen these before. You've seen part of them, Grace replied. Not all of them. Chloe leaned closer. What are we missing? Grace slid one final document across the table. This is the ownership certificate. Ryan frowned. It only lists Whitmore Horizon Holdings. Correct. He looked up. So where's the owner? Grace turned toward me. You're looking at him. The room fell completely silent. Ryan blinked several times. What? Grace spoke calmly. Ethan Carter is the majority owner of Whitmore Horizon Holdings. Ryan laughed nervously. That's not funny. It isn't a joke. Chloe slowly turned toward me. Ethan. I met her eyes. I never lied to you. She whispered, you own the company? Yes. The house. I approved the purchase months before either of you moved in. Ryan shook his head. No. I remained calm. The contract was signed through my holding company while I was overseas. He looked at every page again. This can't be real. Grace pointed to the signatures. It is. Ryan's hands began to tremble. You've known this the whole time? I recognized the address the day you invited me to your housewarming party. His face turned completely pale. And you never said anything? What would have changed? Chloe covered her mouth. Oh my God. Tears filled her eyes. You thought I was just an ordinary man. I finished quietly. She lowered her head. I'm so sorry. I looked at her for a long moment. I'm not here for an apology. Ryan suddenly stood. I can fix this. Grace shook her head. The meeting isn't about pride, Mr. Brooks. It's about your contract. He looked at me desperately. Ethan, please. His voice was completely different now. No arrogance. No confidence. Only fear. For the first time since. My phone rang just as I picked up my car keys. It was Noah. Don't go. I sighed. You already know where I'm heading. Edo. Then you know I have to be there. No, you don't. I leaned against the kitchen counter. Noah, running away won't change what happened. It might stop them from hurting you again. I won't let them. He stayed quiet for a moment. They're going to show off. I know. They'll make you feel like you lost. They can try. He lowered his voice. Please, Ethan. I smiled sadly. You've always looked out for me. Because you're my brother. And I appreciate it. Then stay home. I can't. Why? Because I need to see who they've become. He let out a long breath. I don't like this. Neither do I. After we ended the call, I drove toward the address Ryan had proudly given me. The moment I reached the neighborhood, I recognized every street. When a mansion appeared in front of me, my chest tightened. I remembered approving the renovation plans years earlier. The white stone exterior, the oversized glass windows, the landscape garden, the custom iron gates. Every detail had once passed across my desk. Now another man was calling it his dream home. I parked my car and walked to the front door. Before I could knock, Ryan opened it with a wide smile. Ethan, I wasn't sure you'd come. I said I'd think about it. He laughed. Well, you made the right choice. He stepped aside. Come. The house was filled with music, laughter, and expensive perfume. Guests held champagne glasses while admiring the elegant furniture. Ryan spread both arms proudly. So, I looked around slowly. It's beautiful. I knew you'd love it. I've always liked good design. He grinned. I picked everything myself. I almost smiled. If you say so. At that moment, Chloe walked down the staircase wearing a stunning emerald green evening gown. She stopped when she saw me. Ethan. Hell. Ryan clapped his hands and smiled proudly. Everyone, let me show you the rest of the house. The guests followed him with excitement. I walked behind them without saying a word. This is the living room, Ryan announced. We completely redesigned it. I quietly looked around. I remembered approving the marble flooring, the fireplace, and the custom lighting during a meeting almost 2 years earlier. This kitchen is amazing, one guest said. It was expensive, Ryan replied proudly. Worth every penny. I almost smiled. He had no idea whose signature had approved every renovation. We moved upstairs. This is our master bedroom, Chloe said happily. I finally have the space I've always wanted. A woman laughed. You definitely upgraded. Chloe smiled. I did. Her words should have hurt. Instead, they only reminded me how little she had ever known about me. As the tour continued, a man quietly walked beside me. I'm Daniel, he said. I know. He gave me a sad smile. I'm Ryan's older brother. I remember. I am sorry. For what? For the way he's treating you. I looked at him. You don't owe me an apology. I still wanted to say it. Thank you. He sighed. I barely recognize him anymore. Neither do I. He lowered his voice. You deserved better. I nodded once. So, it did our friendship. The tour finally ended in the backyard beside the infinity pool. Ryan raised a champagne glass. To new beginnings. Everyone cheered. I quietly placed my untouched drink on the table. I should get going. Ryan walked over with a confident grin. Leaving already? I've seen everything. So what do you think of my dream home? I looked directly into his eyes. Take good care of it. We will. I slipped my hands into my pockets. And Ryan. Yeah. Never miss a payment on this property. He laughed loudly. Why? Worried I'll lose it. I calmly shook my head. I'm simply giving friendly advice. He smirked. Grace called before sunrise. Ethan, can you come to the office? Did something happen? Yes. I think you'll want to see these files. I'll leave now. 20 minutes later, I entered the conference room. Thick folders covered the table. You weren't kidding, I said. Grace smiled slightly. Sit down. I pulled out a chair. What am I looking at? Ryan's mortgage file. My heartbeat slowed. So, It's already happening. She opened the first folder. Read this page. I looked at the highlighted paragraph. Legal ownership remains with Whitmore Horizon Holdings until the buyer completes every scheduled payment. I looked at her. So the title never transferred. Exactly. The house is still under my company. She nodded. Ryan only owns the contract. I leaned back. He doesn't even realize it. No. I stayed silent for a moment. This feels strange. It should. I never wanted my business connected to my personal life. Grace closed the folder. Life doesn't always ask what we want. I quietly nodded. For now, I said, I'll follow the contract, not my anger. Grace opened another folder and slid it across the table. Look at the payment history. I studied every page. The first payments were made on time. They were. What changed? She pointed to the latest report. Ryan's business started losing money. I frowned. So he's already falling behind. Yes. How many payments has he missed? None officially. I looked up. But he's dangerously close. I stayed quiet. Grace watched me carefully. What are you thinking? I'm thinking he bought a life he couldn't afford. She nodded. Appearances can be expensive. My phone buzzed. Harold's name appeared on the screen. I answered. Good morning. Ethan, I'm downstairs. I'll come get you. A few minutes later, Harold entered the room. I heard everything, he said. Grace handed him the file. He skimmed through it before looking at me. This situation will test your character. I know. You have every legal right. That doesn't mean I should enjoy it. Harold smiled. Good. I looked at both of them. I'll do what's fair. That's all anyone can ask, Harold replied quietly. Harold closed the file and looked directly at me. Ethan, answer me honestly. I'm listening. Are you hoping Ryan fails? I took a deep breath. A part of me wants him to feel the pain he caused. And the rest of you? The rest of me doesn't want revenge. Harold nodded. Hold on to that. I'll try. Grace gathered the documents in neat piles. We also received another update. What kind? Ryan requested an extension on one of his business loans. So he's running out of money. It appears that way. I looked down at the contract again. He spent everything just to impress people. Grace said quietly, sometimes pride is the most expensive purchase. I couldn't disagree. My phone vibrated again. This time it was Noah. How are you doing? He asked. Better. You don't sound happy. I'm not. Then what are you? I looked through the office window at the city below. I'm learning that justice doesn't always arrive with anger. It arrives with patience. Noah stayed silent before softly saying, I'm proud of you, brother. After Noah ended the call, Grace handed me another envelope. This arrived this morning. I looked at the company's seal. What is it? A formal payment reminder. I opened it carefully. Ryan's next mortgage payment was due in 5 days. If he misses this one, Grace answered calmly. The contract enters the default process. I folded the letter. He still has time. He does. Harold stood beside the window. What will you do if he asks for mercy? I thought for a moment. I'll follow the agreement. No special treatment. No punishment either. I shook my head. I won't use my position to hurt him. Harold smiled proudly. That's leadership. Late that evening, I drove past the mansion. The lights were glowing behind the enormous glass windows. Inside, I saw Ryan pacing across the living room while Chloe stood with her arms crossed. Even through the glass, I could see the tension between them. The perfect life they had proudly displayed at the party was already beginning to crack. I quietly drove away without stopping. The contract would decide everything, not me. I reached home just before midnight, but sleep refused to come. I placed the property file beside the engagement ring that still rested inside its velvet box. 2 reminders of different mistakes. One came from love. The other came from pride. My phone buzzed. Grace had sent one final message. The law is on your side. Let your character be there too. I smiled faintly and replied, it will. The next morning, I walked into my office with a clearer mind. I locked Ryan's file inside the cabinet and slipped the key into my pocket. I won't chase revenge, I whispered to myself. I'll simply let the contract run its course. For the first time in weeks, I felt completely calm. Ryan still believed he owned his dream home. Chloe still believed she had chosen the better future. Neither of them realized that every payment they made was bringing them closer to a truth they could no longer escape. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive through anger. Sometimes it arrives quietly, hidden inside paperwork, waiting for the right day to be opened.